So let's jump into the Mech Lab here for a little bit on this podcast, on this vlog. We were exploring some ideas in the narrative of a Franken mech. Then been exploring some ideas, some of the different variants in Battletech, specifically playing the Locust and a few of my other favorite variants, the Blackjack too. Primarily, I play stock on there. Occasionally, if based on my player personality, the type of tactics and mechs that I like to use, if it's a favorite mech, like the Locust, that a primary variant could fulfill that role better, I will switch over and I'll make my mechs WYSIWYG to support that on there. But complete mech building. This is the really, really interesting thing with Battletech, in that you can set up your own mech factory. And I'm not even talking about from an RPG perspective, getting the credits and the parts and sourcing it. I'm talking about sitting down and crunching the numbers, either analog or digital, and building a mech with that. So from that perspective, I've been thinking about, if you wed that with 3D printing, if you wed that with some of the mech, alternative mech sculpts or mech designs that are out there, really for the first time in Battletech, you could probably come up with your own mech that you really, really enjoy, that you really like, and from there actually have a miniature. I won't say made, but have a miniature that doesn't represent one of the actual mechs in the game. That really intrigues me. So what kind of mech would I design on there? And this is what I've been kind of thinking about, because we're possibly talking about this idea for a campaign where you've, through whatever means, you're going to fill that in on there. You have on kind of one of the worlds on the edge there, you've come into possession, you'll fill it out, of a really old, outdated, but somewhat functioning mech factory. And it's there to kind of build these Franken mechs, or at least the core chassis of it. You're going to upgrade your factory, you're going to work on things, and essentially bring online building your own mechs. And you might make the decision to build a bunch of quick, cheap mechs and sell them, or build something really good. And of course, that's going to be supplemented with your own mercenary company that is going out to obtain resources and raw materials on there. And this kind of got me thinking about, what would I build? I'm thinking probably a heavy mech. If you was like, Fritz, sit down and design a mech, I'd want to do a heavy mech, because that fits my play style the best. Not only in armor and big guns. Now, right away, if you've been listening to my podcast, you're like, all right, he's going to bring a mech with, 2 AC-20s and all this other type of stuff on there. And I'm tempted for that, but I'm going to temper it a little bit. And it's more going to be a design philosophy. I want a heavy mech for the armor and for the tonnage on there, because I'm going to build a brawling type mech. So I need the tonnage to support the armor to make sure I can actually get up there, because I'm going to be spending some turns getting up there to brawling range. And I need the tonnage to physically leverage that on there. Speed seems important, engine size and all that type of stuff. Speed seems important, but I think it might be less important than I think, because there's going to be other mechs involved in a lance, laying cover fire or running interference. But at the same time, most mech games, most Battletech games are on hex maps. The hex maps are small enough that, yes, speed always helps, but to pay for the points of the speed on a heavy mech, when I'd rather have armor and other type of things, certainly it can't be slow. It's not going to be, urban mech slow, but I don't think I need to be jacked up super speed, where some mechs that are medium or light brawlers, they want the speed. So we'll play around with the speed. I'm not going to mount any weapons in the arms on there, because I want to be able to punch every single turn that's on there. I'm spacing on the, is it aimed shot? No. In the TAC Ops book, if you want to play it, there is is it aimed punch, where, you could, if you have a weapon that's arm mounted, you could punch with it and shoot at the same time. And there's some modifiers on there, but whether you play with that or not, I wouldn't mount any weapons in the arms. I want weapons in the left torso and the right torso. And I realize as I'm thinking of this design philosophy, it's already an Ost class mech, some of the Ost class designs on there. So it's certainly nothing new with that, but the exact configuration might change a little bit. It's going to be all energy. It's going to be all energy because this is Inner Sphere, Succession era. No case. I don't want to go boom boom on there. Absolutely all energy because it's going to be a survivable brawler on there. I don't want to have to worry about ammo explosions from that perspective. And it's not going to be a long ranger, so I don't need the AC-10 or the AC-2 or LRMs. I know it's weird to not be playing an LRM type mech. I'm thinking medium lasers. Simply because of battle value, tonnage, damage output, heat. They're the best, and I'm going to be getting up there as quickly as I can. The question is, a lot of mechs, we see this with the Battlemaster. I mean, this is kind of an assault platform. You have one or two weapons that give you something to do on the way in. Battlemaster, it's the PPC. Grasshopper, it's the LRM-5 in the head. And then when you get close, you've got the medium lasers. I'm thinking to myself, do I put in two large lasers on there and then a brace of two mediums? But then we get into heat management on there, and I'd rather keep the heat sinks down to a minimum because I'm looking at the tonnage mainly for engine size and for armor, but also one or two shots on the way in. Do I really need that? So I'm just thinking like, hey, medium lasers. Well, so now I'm looking at that, I'm like, well, I'm kind of describing a charger on there. Although it's an assault mech, it's kind of zippy. It's got all the small lasers. You're essentially a brawler, even though that's a recon mech. Maybe some variants on there. This is getting into the variants. But focusing and building and pushing on there. And I would put the maximum amount of armor that I could in the arms or play with the point distribution simply because I need those arms up. It would technically be a zombie mech because I'd have the weapons in the torsos. But I need that perspective on there. Things I'm thinking about, things I'm playing around with, and admittedly, in all the years that I've been enjoying Battletech, mech design has been a very, very small part of the game for me because, again, I'm playing primarily stock or dedicated to one type of variant on there. A couple of times, very rarely in a campaign, I've taken so much damage, it's to the point where a mech really changes. I had a Cyclops that it was my command mech. It took so much damage in the campaign. I scrapped out armor. It was literally like just like one armor bubble left. No sensors gone. It's essentially like the guys, my mech warrior, my mech pilot, he's got like a lawn chair on top of this mech. And its arms were gone and blown off. So essentially it was just an autocannon 20, maybe with like 3 shots left. Me running up and like kicking you on there. So yes, there have been times in the campaign where I've been so down with my mech, but mech design, something different. So what resources should I be looking at as we think about this campaign? What pieces in terms of design should I be aware of? Because as much as I do consider myself an experienced, experience might not always equate good, as much as I consider myself an experienced Battletech player, I am a little weak in the mech design, and that's interesting. That's intriguing. That's kind of pushing me forward from that perspective to explore in this game narrative.